Picture this. You're standing in line at a restaurant you've been dying to try. The smell of sizzling spices is wafting through the air, and your stomach growls in anticipation. You check the ratings online. All 5 stars, glowing reviews, people raving about the food, ambience, and service. But wait, what if, instead of these glowing reviews from humans, you had something even more authentic? What if the restaurant proudly displayed a 5 cheese rating from a rat? Yes, you heard that right. Rats, the tiny connoisseurs of the culinary underworld, judging our dining establishments. Ridiculous? Sure. But is it really that far-fetched? After all, if anyone knows how to sniff out the good, the bad, and the downright stomach-churning, it's a creature that has survived for centuries by scavenging. Today, we're going to dive deep into this bizarre thought experiment. What if rats could rate restaurants? By the end of this journey, you might just find yourself trusting a rodent's opinion over Yelp. And honestly, it might not be a bad idea. Let's set the stage here. Rats have been silently judging humanity's food choices for as long as humans have existed. They lurk in alleyways, creep through kitchens, and rummage through dumpsters with an expertise that would put any food inspector to shame. These tiny scavengers are the unsung critics of the culinary world, operating in the shadows and sampling the scraps we leave behind. But what if they stepped into the spotlight? Imagine rats, not as pests, but as professional food critics. They could sniff out the good from the bad, the fresh from the rotten, and the gourmet from the garbage. Think about it. Rats are already living on the fringes of the restaurant industry. They know what's happening behind the scenes, from the cleanliness of the kitchen to the quality of the ingredients. If they had the ability to communicate their findings, they'd probably be more accurate than most human reviewers. And let's face it, if a rat gives a restaurant 5 cheeses, you know that place is doing something right. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of why rats might actually make excellent restaurant critics. First off, their sense of smell is incredible. Did you know that a rat's sense of smell is about 50 times stronger than ours? That means they can detect things we can't even imagine. Spoiled milk in your soup? They'd know. Overused fryer oil in your French fries? They'd pick up on it instantly. A rat wouldn't just notice that the bread is stale. They'd probably know which day of the week it started going bad. Their noses are like highly sensitive culinary radars, picking up on the smallest details. But it's not just their noses that make them perfect critics. Rats are also natural foodies. Sure, they'll eat almost anything, but don't mistake that for a lack of standards. In the wild, they're constantly making decisions about what's safe to eat and what's not. Would a rat choose day-old pizza over a fresh slice of cheese? Absolutely not. They have a keen sense of quality, and they're not afraid to go the extra mile to find it. And let's not forget their hygiene expertise. Rats spend a lot of time around trash, but that's precisely why they'd be great at spotting cleanliness issues in a restaurant. If there's something off about the way a kitchen is run, a rat would know instantly. They've seen it all, the good, the bad, and the downright disgusting. Now, let's talk about how rats would actually rate restaurants. Forget stars, that's outdated. Instead, we'd have the cheddar scale. It's simple, it's relatable, and it's way more fun. Here's how it works. 1 cheese, avoid at all costs. This place is a health hazard. 2 cheeses, edible but barely. Only go if you're desperate. 3 cheeses, decent. Nothing special, but it gets the job done. For cheeses, solid choice. Good food, good ambience, no major complaints. 5 cheeses, exceptional. Worth every penny. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell everyone. Imagine rats scurrying through the kitchen, inspecting every detail. They'd sniff out the ingredients, check the cleanliness of the storage areas, and even judge the ambience. Is the music too loud? Rats prefer a quiet meal. Thank you very much. And service? Oh, they'd rate that too. Bonus points if the staff doesn't immediately chase them out with a broom. Now, let's get into the fun part. Imagining what the world would look like if rats were actually restaurant critics. Picture this. A fancy Michelin-starred chef loses their mind because their restaurant only got a 2 cheese rating from a rodent. Or a rat goes viral on social media for exposing a dirty kitchen in a supposedly 5-star establishment. Street food vendors might actually thrive in this scenario. Why? Because rats know that fresh, hot snacks from a food cart are way better than overpriced, pretentious dishes in a fancy restaurant. Rats would become the ultimate champions of authenticity, shining a light on the hidden gems of the food world. And then there's the idea of rats becoming influencers. Picture this, Ratatouille's revenge. a YouTube channel where rats share their brutally honest restaurant reviews. Millions of views, sponsorships from cheese companies. The possibilities are endless. If rats suddenly became the go-to critics for restaurants, the entire industry would undergo a seismic shift. Let's explore this idea in detail. First, hygiene standards would reach unprecedented heights. Why? Because no restaurant owner would want their establishment exposed by a rat. Think about it. A single viral post featuring a rat sniffing disdainfully at a grimy corner of your kitchen could spell disaster for your reputation. On the flip side, a glowing review from a rat could become a badge of honor, displayed proudly alongside health inspection certificates. The fear of being shamed by a rodent might finally force every restaurant, from high-end eateries to greasy spoons, to clean up their act. Next, the focus on ingredient quality would intensify. Rats, with their highly sensitive noses, wouldn't just detect when food has gone bad. They'd also identify overripe fruits, stale bread, or overly processed ingredients. This could pressure chefs and suppliers to prioritize fresh, organic produce and ethically sourced materials. Imagine a world where restaurants can't get away with cutting corners because their most discerning critics are always watching or sniffing. Now let's talk about innovation. To appeal to these new critics, restaurants might start designing rat-friendly tasting menus. Picture tiny cheese boards with perfectly curated selections, miniature crumb samplers, and bite-sized portions of gourmet meals. These efforts wouldn't just cater to the rats, but would also create buzz among customers. The novelty of a restaurant's rat-approved menu would become a marketing goldmine. But the most profound impact might be on consumer trust. Let's be honest, online reviews can be manipulated. Fake ratings, biased opinions, and paid promotions have eroded the credibility of platforms like Yelp and TripAdvisor. Enter the rats. Their reviews would be raw, unfiltered, and undeniably honest. People might start trusting a rat's opinion more than their fellow humans. Suddenly, cheese emojis would replace stars as the ultimate symbol of quality. A restaurant with a 5 cheese rating would be seen as the pinnacle of dining excellence. Finally, we can't ignore the cultural shift this would bring. Rats would no longer be seen as pests, but as respected members of the culinary community. They'd become symbols of accountability and authenticity. Movies, TV shows, and books would celebrate their contributions. Schools might even teach children about the rat revolution in food criticism. It's a world that feels surreal yet oddly plausible, a testament to how much our perceptions can change when faced with an unexpected idea. Of course, no revolution comes without its challenges. If rats were to take over the role of restaurant critics, chaos would inevitably ensue. Let's delve into the potential fallout. First, the issue of bribery would rear its ugly head. Chefs and restaurant owners, desperate for a 5 cheese rating, might resort to underhanded tactics. Fancy cheese wheels, artisanal crumbs, and gourmet leftovers could be strategically placed to win over the rats. This could create a new form of corruption within the industry. Imagine a black market for rat influencers, where unscrupulous restaurateurs pay top dollar for a glowing review. The integrity of the cheddar scale would be at stake. Then there's the problem of overpopulation. A 5 cheese rating from a rat would undoubtedly attract more rats to the establishment. What starts as a single critic could quickly turn into an infestation. Customers, initially drawn by the glowing review, might be put off by the sight of a dozen rats scurrying around the dining area. This paradox, where success leads to ruin, would be a unique challenge for the industry to navigate. Another concern is the potential backlash from customers. Not everyone would be thrilled about the idea of rats playing such a prominent role in the dining experience. Some might boycott rat-approved restaurants altogether, while others could take to social media to express their disgust. The divide between rat enthusiasts and rat skeptics could become a cultural phenomenon, sparking heated debates and viral hashtags. And let's not forget the logistical nightmares. Training rats to provide consistent, reliable reviews would be no small feat. Who would oversee this process? Would there be a governing body to regulate rat critics? How would disputes be resolved? The infrastructure required to support this new system would be complex and costly, raising questions about its feasibility. In the end, the chaos might outweigh the benefits. But even in its messiest moments, the rat revolution would be a fascinating social experiment, a reminder of humanity's ability to find humor and creativity in the most unexpected places.